being all professional. Hi guys. Hope you're all okay. Welcome back to Nailed It. We're officially on episode 2. You know, one of my friends sent me a statistic that said most people who start podcasts don't make it past the first episode. And of the percentage that make it past the first episode, there's another large percent that don't make it past the second. So if I'm posting next week, we're in for the long haul. Hi guys, happy Thursday. Welcome back. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it. I wanted to kick off by saying thank you for all the love and support on my first episode as well. That seriously blew me away. It meant the absolute world to me. Made me realise, 100% you're sticking with this, sister, whether you like it or not. But I like it. So, I'm really, really happy about that. Thank you so much. I've never had so many nice messages in all my life. And obviously it was my birthday last week when I posted. So I think the last few weeks have been really overwhelming, from posting my first episode, my birthday, even just launching the concept of Nailed It. Like, I think I mentioned it in the first episode, but bloody hell, got some bloody nice people around. So yeah, it's been a real treat, and I really appreciate it. So let's get straight into it. Today's episode is Corporate Construction Girly, which is aka me. I'm going to talk to you all about work, and not just what I do for work, but sort of the choices I made to get me there. My advice to anyone who's a little bit stuck in the career world. I've also had my first questions, which I'm buzzing about. I've had 3. One was more like a contribution, and the other 2 were questions, but me getting audience interaction. Would you believe? So yeah, really, really happy about that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about, like I said, how I started. I'm going to take it right back to school, to be fair, because that's where I think, we need to begin. And then, sort of work my way through it, tell you sort of how I got to where I am today, all the little things that happened in between, the 5 million career ideas I had in my head. I don't think we normalise that enough. And then, tell you all about the trials and tribulations that I face in my day-to-day. And we'll go from there. So I really hope you enjoy the episode, guys. Thank you. By the way, does anyone like my mug? I painted a mug. It's a Harry Styles song. The girlies that get it will get it. All the boys. Anyway. So, as I said, let's go right back. Take it right back to school. The year is 2015. Maybe even 2014. We're getting into the last year or 2 of high school when, you're picking your options. I ended up choosing resistance materials, which was enlisted in me building a dollhouse. We love that. Geography and IT. And, they make this big, they enhance how, important it is. This is your future. These are the next steps. It's like a bit of a madness that you put in that decision in the hands of a 14-year-old, All I was interested in at the age of 14 was hanging about outside my local Premier shop, trying to get someone who was 18 to go in for me. That's all I was bothered about. That and mucking about with my mates. Anyway, we move. So, did all that. I found for me, personally, education and further education wasn't the way forward. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted. I did, back in the day, actually want to be a vet. Believe it or not. I bloody love animals, especially dogs. And for me, I was like, that's my calling. That's where I want to work. I do still sometimes think about that now, about applying myself to a job specifically with dogs, but not a vet. And the reason being is I had the harsh reality of having my first dog put down, and it crippled me naturally. And I realised I did not have the emotional capacity to give that to that situation every day. Would have wrote me off. So I couldn't have handled that emotionally. So anyway, I was a wee bit lost, and the days of me wanting to be a wag or a WWE diva, which was my career plan when I entered high school, they were looking a little bit more out of reach. One thing I found, and I don't know if anyone else relates to this, is that we didn't get a lot of support in school about career choices. I think unless you were like marketing yourself as someone who was going to be a doctor, or, you know, you were going to be this, you were going to be that, and you were quite vocal about it. They didn't have, you know, anything when we started to get into that point of leaving school. We had like colleges coming in saying, oh, come and apply for us, come to Runshaw, come to John Rigby, all that stuff. And I think we had maybe like an army person come in as well. But we didn't have anything. We didn't have your average, you know, Joe Bloggs who works in admin, or Linda at Asda. We had none of that. We had no one coming in just promoting the working world. Now, don't get me wrong, the working world is a bit of a swizz. You know, we've signed up to work 9 to 5 for the rest of our lives and we think it's normal. But what I'm saying is, it was almost like college or nothing, uni or nothing. And for someone like me, that was really no use, no fucking ornament. So yeah, very, very much felt pigeonholed into that way of life, and it wasn't for me. So I made the decision, rightly or wrongly, to get an apprenticeship in the super long summer that we get. So when you leave school, obviously, we used to get something daft like 10, 11 weeks off rather than 6 because of when your exam's finished. And while all my mates were up the reservoir or, you know, having a good time, I jumped into an apprenticeship and spent the first 5 weeks of summer sat in an office. Dickhead. So I chucked the towel in there. It was the good old days where you could just write a one-line email and be like, not coming back, soz, send. And I didn't. And I found myself at sixth form as a little bit of a stopgap. But I was still looking for an apprenticeship. But sixth form was a good little filler. It meant that I could carry on being with my friends. And yeah, just, again, muck about for a bit. I think I actually put myself forward again for geography. Don't know why I had this thing for geography because I'm rubbish at it. I think that and business studies, and it basically got turned around and I ended up doing, what did I do? Health and social care. Not me all. But again, got to sit with the girls, got to copy everyone's work and basically do nothing. Happy days. But yeah, I was still on the hunt for an apprenticeship. The reason being is because my mum and dad, they've always raised me and my brothers with the belief that if you want the nice things in life, you've got to work for it. Whether that means going to college and uni and doing it that way, or, you know, going getting a glass collecting job at the age of 15 and cracking on from there. Whatever you want in life, you have to work hard for it. And that's how they raised me. And I didn't really know what I wanted from a career, but I knew that I wanted to have nice things. I knew that I wanted to have my own money. I knew that I wanted to drive. I knew that I wanted to, you know, further myself. So I knew I needed to get a job, basically. I knew for myself that going to college and uni wouldn't have benefited me in that way. Now, the pros of going there would have probably been, you know, making new friends, going to a new town potentially, or city, you know, living the college and uni life, going out on the piss all the time, which I would have loved. It probably also would have killed me, but I would have loved it equally. So I do sometimes think maybe I missed out a little bit there. But then when I look at where I am now in my career, I'm really happy that I made the decisions I did. But anyway, that's why I was always gunning for an apprenticeship, if you will. My mum and dad have had sort of between 2 and 3 jobs their entire lives. And at the time, you don't realise why they're doing it. It's, you know, it's the age-old thing of you only realise things as you get older and you start to appreciate it more, yada, yada. But it's true. You know, I'm looking at other families going on holidays or going to Disneyland and things like that. And you sat there as a kid like, I want to bloody go to Disney. Why am my mum and dad not taking me there? And then I look at, like, you know, now where I'm sat in my own house having to pay for it myself, and you realise the cost of things and, you know, how low of an income people were on. Things like they were just, you know, trying to put clothes on your back. They've got 3 kids. We had a really nice house as well. They're all them things that you don't appreciate until you're, you know, in an older mindset. So yeah, and now I look at it and I think, I actually can't imagine how hard you must have had to graft just to put clothes on our back, put food on the table and keep a roof over our heads. I know it sounds so like cynical and cliche, but it is really, really true. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. So I'm in sixth form, I'm kicking about, having a laugh with girls, and I get the call to go for an apprenticeship, which I was buzzing about. And it was digital marketing. Don't know how I landed myself in that one because I ain't got a marketing bone in my body. If you've seen my Instagram, if you've seen the things I've been uploading, you will know marketing is not my forte. So, but anyway, it was a company that was close to home. It was walking distance, which was great. I was a skinny queen walking there every day. And it was really, really good. I didn't realise at the time, but I quickly learned how beneficial it was to work with older people. You know, at the age of 16, typical, you think you've got everything worked out, you think you know everything. And then you go and work with some, average 30 to 35-year-old and you see, all different walks of life. Makes such a huge difference to you, honestly. It really, really shapes you as a character. And it matures you, which is good. It matured me in a really short space of time. I've always grown up, there's quite a big age gap between me and my brother, so I've always grown up with older people, but actually having to work with them, you spend more time at work than home, so actually having to be in that atmosphere with them, it does mature you, if anything. It embarrasses you at times, and things like that. Now, obviously, really good for your personal development and good to get you, like I say, in a more mature headspace. But then on the flip side of it, again, one of the cons I found was that because I was working with older people and you're surrounded by an older atmosphere, I was sort of maturing in my head too far. I was going too far down the line with it. I was thinking that I should be, looking to get married, looking for that. And I was like, whoa, gee, you're 16, you're 17, you're 18, relax on the ball. And, all your friends are out, live, laugh, loving. And that made me, now when I look back on it, I should have appreciated how young I was and how much of a baby I was rather than trying to rush my life. So, yeah, but it was really good. I spent around about 2 years there. And in that time, I spent a lot of time baking. I know, really rogue. Here's my next career jump that I almost made. Baking. Bakes by Emily. I think that's what I actually called it. I can't remember now, but anyway, I was baking all the time. Absolutely loved it. I remember I begged my brother to take me to Finch Bakery because I was just obsessed with them, obsessed with the idea, obsessed with me opening my own bakery. I remember the first time I took cakes into work and everyone was like, oh my God, these are amazing. And I was like, boom, sold. That's it. I'm doing it. Gonna do it. Doing it anyway. So yeah, quickly went to Finch Bakery, was in awe and was like, right, that's it. This is now the goal. I am going to open a bakery, 1000%. Now, obviously, I was an apprentice on apprenticeship wage, doing a full-time job, might I add. And obviously, you get your qualifications paid for and that. So, yeah, I get it. So, but the downside to an apprenticeship is, in a lot of cases, the salary. Now, for a lot of people, I've seen that's improved over the years. But in my case, I was bringing home between £500 and £600 a month. It ain't a lot. So, yeah, my goal was to definitely save up as much as I could and put all the money I could towards baking. Now, anyone who has ever baked before, for any of my girlies who've listened, who've made a box of cakes, or anyone listening who runs a bakery or works in one, you will know how time consuming it is to make just the one cake, or one set of cupcakes, let alone run a business on it. So to do that alongside a 9-to-5 job, it was pretty difficult. Now, luckily, and I don't know if I'd use that word at the time, I was in a really horrible relationship at the time, which meant I had bags of free time because all I wanted to do was avoid him. So I spent a lot of time after work, all my weekends, just threw myself into baking, and I really, really was able to commit a lot of time to it. So it was fantastic, really. So I'm in my job at the time, I'm baking, I'm in an unhappy relationship, and I decided to snap out of all of the above. So I started to find my feet again. I really wanted a new job. I wasn't happy at this job anymore. It wasn't for me. So yeah, and I was beginning to turn the ship, as one does when the phoenix is going to rise from the ashes, when you go through a breakup and you're going to do all them amazing things. So I kickstarted it. I started looking for a new job. Again, luckily, I had no commitments at the time, so I could leave the current job almost without a care in the world about what I had to pay for, which was quite good. And my mum and dad supported that because, I was unhappy. And the goal was still to open the bakery. So I was like, sod it, I'll save my wages. I will just put towards the bakery and it'll be good vibes all around. You know, a small sacrifice now will make for a long-term payoff. And I do still have that mindset 100%. But yeah, so I was in the works for that. My mum actually told me there was a job going at her company. She gives me the application, I start applying, I get an interview. It was for internal sales and marketing. So again, I'm still on the marketing train for someone who can't market. And I've never done sales. Talk all the time, never done sales, didn't know what it entailed. My perception of sales was different to what I now experience it as. For the better, which is good. So yeah, off I go. This job is in Manchester. It's in a city, so I was leveling up. I knew my money was going to go up, all those types of things. So I was really looking forward to what it could bring, again, with the background that any money I make is going towards this bakery. So off I go to the interview, and I know he won't mind me saying, because I'm still friends with him to this day, but who was my boss at the time who ended up hiring me? Why he hired me, I still don't know to this day, because it was the worst interview anyone's ever done. And his poker face is second to none. I'd hate to play a game with him. He was blank as anything. I fully thought I didn't have the job when I walked out of it. I remember going into my mum's office after and was like, Mum, that was horrendous. So I did what I think I was 18 at the time, any 18-year-old girl would do with her last wage packet. I trotted myself over to the Trafford Centre and went sad girl shopping. Happy days. Lo and behold, a couple of days later, I get the phone call from HR and I've got the bloody job. I was like, oh gee, happy days. So overnight, you know, I hope she's not my ring light. Sorry, girls. Overnight, yeah, I doubled my salary. All that money was going to fund my baking. It was a completely different role. It was exciting. I had different hours, a different commute. You know, life just changed overnight and it was really, really nice. Met new friends, new people, and it was really good. And then comes what we were all waiting for, the breakup. Happy days. You know, got rid of it, dropped the dead weight, and yeah, started living a hot girl summer, you know. Baking took a little bit of a back seat once that happened, I'm not going to lie to you. And I even decided in the midst of my, you know, living life, my dating, I told you in the first episode I'd be talking about dating and how much I dated. And what I learned. I learned a lot about myself and about the dating world and men. But in this time, I decided I wanted to apply for Love Island. For no other reason than I think at the time I belonged on telly. I had this big idea that I was going to go on telly. I was going to make it big. I was going to become the nation's sweetheart. There's still time. I'd have my own memes. I'd land my own brand deal. If I'd have got on that season, I'd have been on with Molly May. I need to stop talking about Molly May like she's my friend. But you never know, one day. But I do think we'd have been best friends. And then, you know, I'd have been one of the girlies on the terrace. I'd have been vibing. I'd have been giving all the lads grief whenever they put a foot wrong. You know, I'd have got the Boohoo deal because I live in the Boohoo tracksuit. I'd have modelled for Filter by Molly May because we're best friends at this point. Do you know what I mean? It would have all worked out. But anyway, I digress. So my application for Love Island was in the works. It was when I got to the point where I had to do a video. So you have to, so I filled in the form up and then it was like you had to do a 1-minute video about yourself and I was cringing my back out. Way more so than anything else I've ever videoed. So yeah, I'm got that in the process. Baking is, well, it's not baking. Nothing is being baked. And then I discover my current partner, who thankfully I'm still with to this day. And all of a sudden, my Love Island application is a thing of the past. That also took a backseat. But yeah, in that period of time as well, I did actually start to like my job. I stopped seeing it as, again, you know, like a funding job. And I actually quite enjoyed it, albeit I didn't wake up at the age of 16 and be like, yes, I want to work in construction. I want to be a fire protection queen. But here we are. That's what I am. And then, yeah, from then on, I literally went 2 feet first into my career. I asked my boss to put me on the road and I fully just threw myself into it. I asked him for a company car, for a region. I really wanted to push myself forward. I So yeah, and that's where it is. Fast forward now, I'm in my 7th year. I'm a specification manager by title. I cover the UK and I cover overseas as well. I've been lucky enough to go over to Australia twice. I've been to New Zealand and I've grafted my absolute bollocks off to get there. Do you know what I mean? It's not exactly like it's been handed on a plate. And that's another thing that we're going to talk about as well, about, the trials and tribulations of being a woman in a man's world. Because that's what we are. So yeah, that's my career now. That is where I am. I should probably tell you what I actually do on the day-to-day. So I work in construction. I specialise in fire protection. So essentially, big high-rise buildings, I put life safety products into there. So as I said earlier, I started internally in an office. Essentially, I had a team of 8 men. I was essentially the office girl, keeping them all in check, answering the phones, blah, blah, blah. And I started going out and about on site a little bit with a few of my colleagues, and I really liked it. I liked having the crack with people, realised how much had sunk in about the products and what I'd learned. And that's obviously when I decided to pursue the career. And that was a massive jump as well, because I don't think my boss at the time was used to someone sort of going in and asking for what they wanted. He'd also never managed a woman before, so I think that was also a bit of a learning curve for him and for, others in the team. And they never put a woman on the road. So, it's, again, the type of job I do, it does tend to lean itself a lot more to men. Men tend to do this job more than women. I've met some fantastic women in this sector, but it does tend to lend itself a lot more to men. It's just one of them things. So I spent about a year doing sort of internal and external in like a hybrid way. And then I went out on the road and I cover the Midlands and North Wales. So a pretty big patch. I think I spent about 6 months doing it before the pandemic hit, which was a kicker, especially because I just bought myself a company car. And it sat on the drive doing nothing for 3 months. But anyway. And then I've just continued to progress. I got to take over Australia and New Zealand as a region as well, which is what has enabled me to get over there. So yeah, really good, really lucky. And I really enjoy what I do. Obviously, as per the podcast, I love talking. I love speaking to people. As I said, I love advising. And that's a big part of what I do in my job, I'm not advising on love troubles or friendship troubles. I'm advising on, life safety. And I really enjoy it. I love it. I love, learning about something and going talking about it, essentially. So it's really enjoyable. And no 2 days are the same. I work with lots of different people in my sector, whether I'm out on a building site, whether I'm delivering presentations, whether I'm just, talking direct to customers. So it's all really, really good fun. And I do enjoy it. One of the questions I got asked, which I thought now would be a good time to slip it in, was, as a corporate construction girly, I've actually wrote it down here. Here we go. Sorry, I'm using my laptop as a guidance. As a corporate construction girly, I take it you work in construction. How do you find working with men? Do you suffer from any sexist behaviour? Do I? Well, as I said it before, woman in a man's world, and times are getting better. Like I said, this is my 7th year in this company and in this industry, and I've obviously got previous work experience in a very male-dominated world, male-dominated environment. And it's getting better. It is getting better, I will say that. However, I have been subjected to various inappropriate comments from customers or customers. I've been subject to a lot from what I call the old school background. So people who've been in the industry from, for the last 30, 40 years. They've been doing it a long time. And what they did in the 70s and 80s, they still think flies today. It doesn't. But they don't want to hear that. So yeah, I have been subjected to that. I think a lot of the time, especially because I've got a team of so many men, and I have got a lady in my office actually who's amazing, but in my external team, I've got mainly men, or when we go to events, it's just me with a group of, 10 blokes. I'm basically seen as like a trolley dolly rather than someone who's actually good at a job. And it's infuriating, but, we prove them right in different ways. I'm a very, I'll defend myself. I'll speak up and I will clap back. So when people do make comments at me, I do tend to retaliate. I'll embarrass you. I'll say something back. It's just what it is, you know. Some people will sit and take it. I won't. I think if you're the type of person that is going to be making comments like that at people, it says a hell of a lot about you. And yeah, it's just not for me. One of the examples of me being subjected to my gender, should we call it? Well, yeah, that's what it is. I've got a couple of examples actually. One more recently, I was actually on a construction site doing a site inspection, and when I didn't give someone the answer they wanted, he turned around to me and said, "Emily, sorry, can I just ask, what exactly is your position?" So I said, "I'm the specification manager." He said, "Well, could I not have someone more technical?" That one was fun. Personal favourite, in fact, once I get going, this list could go on and on. I went to an event, so we do around Christmas time, we do quite a lot of events. Went to an event last year, and a contractor, so someone I had never met, not someone I've done business with. I was chatting to someone near him, and he was just being a bit inappropriate, a bit drunk, and I embarrassed him with a comment I made back. So he asked me in front of everyone if I would sit on his face. No. Not if you were the last person on earth. Never. Why? He just said it to try and belittle me. So I belittled him back. But that was horrible. That was really not nice. It honestly, it put me in the weirdest predicament. And I've found that older men, has-beens, will try and put you in an uncomfortable predicament, especially if you're good at your job. Or if they think that you want to be successful and you want to get places. Well, I will not stand for it. So, yeah, just a couple of nice little examples there. The fact that it's a male-dominated industry, though, I mean, is it the be-all and end-all of what I do? Is it my personality trait? Absolutely not. Like I said, I'll go with the best of them, but the facts are that men, you know, they run the construction ship. It's just what it is. But I'm a huge believer, and I do believe that I've proved myself, that your gender, your age, how long you've been doing something does not define how good or how capable you are at the task in hand. I've proven to myself, to everyone around me, to my company, that being 18, being a bird, being pigeonholed as loud, as gobby, or too confident, or too much, is a humongous smokescreen for people who are older than you that would rather put you down than get behind you, because essentially they're jealous of the fact that you're in a position that they wasn't in at your time of life or at their time of life. Now, I'm really lucky. I've got an amazing boss and team that back me all the way. They've helped develop me into the person I am today, along with a sprinkle of me putting my own shift in. They've helped me not be defensive and argumentative at times when I've wanted to be. They've helped me become a more well-rounded person. And again, I put that down to working with older people and gaining that experience, which I would highly suggest to anyone. Am I ever going to stop being prejudged for my age or for being scared to speak up? Probably not. I'm surrounded by people who remind me, sometimes weekly, about, you know, how like that I am. But I also look at it that I get a hell of a lot more positive feedback than what I get negative. What I hope anyone listening to this takes away from, especially nowadays, as I believe we're in a generation where we're a lot more focused on ourselves than ever before. I feel like we're selfish, but in a positive way. We just want the best for ourselves. We want to drive ourselves in our work, in our personal lives, in our relationships. We're kind of over settling for less, and I love it. I'm here for it. And I do think that means starting earlier and working harder earlier on. And you end up dealing with more people like what I've described I've dealt with, who are going to, you know, look at you as just a kid, or, you know, and the thing is, when you do start, you are younger, so you are going to make mistakes. You are going to be of a more childish personality. You might get defensive. You might get argumentative. You also might be 10 times fucking better at the job than someone else, and that's really important. But what I would say is, please do not let someone older than you, who's more likely jealous of you, put you down or put you off it. Please stick with it. Stick with your goals. If I'd have given up the first time someone would have given me negative feedback or criticism, and believe me, I've had plenty, I'd be nowhere as far on as I am now. And I'm so grateful for that. Even just like with this podcast, it's something I've wanted to do for ages. And when I was younger, I really wanted to do YouTube. And I was so scared of what people would say and what people would think of me. And they're now people that, they were literally people I went to school with. People you went to school with, if they're not your friends, they're irrelevant because you'll probably never see them again. Or they'll get pregnant or become a drug dealer. So they're really irrelevant. Their opinion is irrelevant. And they're only going to criticise you, again, if they're jealous of you. Anything like that. Anyone giving you criticism and they're not in your corner, just block, delete. It's not worth it. Do not let that stop you pushing yourself, whether it's at work or pursuing a dream or some form of goal. Just go and do it. Again, I've been speaking to quite a few friends recently who are unhappy in their jobs. And again, I push them to change it up and do something different. And they'll say, well, this is what I wanted to do. This is what I thought I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a vet. I also wanted to be a WWE diva and a dancer. And now I work in construction and I want to do a podcast. You know what I mean? Things change all the time. And again, that is absolutely fine. But if you want to change it up because you're not happy, do it. We spend more time at work than anywhere else based on the bog standard 9 to 5 plus getting ready, commuting. The average person spends 11 to 12 hours working in that whole thing, between 6 and 8 hours sleeping. That only leaves you 7 hours at the most per day. Why should you do anything that doesn't fulfill you in some way, whether it's financially, personally, mentally, bonus obviously if it's all of the above. So I think back to my decisions around college and uni and about the pros and cons, and I know I made the right decision for myself. One of my friends actually has just gone back to uni to become a teacher because that's what she's passionate about and she believes in. Do it. What's stopping you? You know, I just think you shouldn't let anything hold you back in that sense. So yeah, I think I made the right choice. I hope you listen to this and it enables you to make some choices that will benefit you. So that's basically my career, guys, summed up in a little wee nutshell. You've now got a gist of what I do and how I got here. My advice, if you're listening, you're in a career rut, then just switch it up. Even if you go and start shelves or you go do something different, just go find something that makes you not hate waking up in the morning. Don't get me wrong, I would love nothing more than to be an Adenola model or to live on a beach in Bali, but it's not realistic for most people, and it ain't realistic for me yet. But yeah, one thing I'm big on, as you'll learn as you listen to this, is keeping it real. You know, I'm not a horrible person at all, but I'm very much a realistic person. And sometimes your dream job, or what you might think your dream job is, it ain't what it's cracked up to be. And you should not spend time in a place that doesn't feel right for you and equally doesn't make you happy. Or at best, pay you some half-decent money until you are happy. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that is my take on things. And I'm going to read out the other things that I got wrote in about, which has made me happy. And I felt it's slotting nicely towards the end. One thing that I got wrote in was actually from a girl who used to recruit in the construction sector. So I thought this would be really useful. This one's the most statement. And she actually said, I used to recruit in this sector, and what an absolute farce some hiring managers were. A woman with bags more experience and talent getting sideswiped for a bloke. The amount of times I had to fight to get the woman, I spelled woman wrong when I've retyped it, I spelled it as oh man. The amount of times I had to fight to get the woman the money she deserved. There is lots of growth needed. And she even mentioned getting knocked back 15k on a salary. So the job went in at 70k, and when they hired a woman, they put it back down to 55k. Can you imagine applying for a job at 70k basic and getting hired on 55? I'd be livid. I just wouldn't even show up. But there you go. That just proves it, that even, like I said, I'm really lucky that I've got the boss and the team I have, and they're unbelievable and they don't treat me any differently on that basis. But like I said, it's been a struggle to get there because you're not just dealing with your boss or your line manager who might be amazing. You're going from the top down. You're trying to change mindsets in an industry and in businesses, and sometimes that's really, really hard to do. Like I said, luckily, I don't get treated any differently by my team for what's in between my legs because they know I'm good at what I do, but still, people are subject to it. And for my final question, I was asked if I didn't do the current job that I do now, what do I think I would be doing? Is there anything else I'd have pursued? And the answer is, I think if I was doing something different to now, I think I would have continued down the baking path. I think, I'd have come into my job, sort of carried on down the trajectory that I was just going to make the money, bank it, and then, pursued and opened my bakery because at the time that was the only other thing I felt really passionate about. But it's not all it's meant to be. Obviously, here we are. So now we're on the podcast journey and the construction journey. Who'd have thought? And that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. You've now got an insight into me. I hope it's helped you if you're in a bit of a career rut or you're looking to do something new. Or it's just been a good listen. Thank you so much as well to those who wrote in. It seriously, I freaked. It was great. So I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed. Tune in next week for Dancing Queen. Do, do, do. I would cue ABBA, but I don't know how to put music in it yet. Next week I'm going to be talking all about dance, my dancing journey. It's another big part of my life, sort of how I fell in and out of it on more than one occasion. And I really hope you enjoy and you listen and stay with me. So see you next week, guys.